G'day guys, Rob here and welcome back to the channel. Now today you join me for part 2 of saving a Ferrari F40, a sad eBay story. Now if you watched part 1, the introduction, you will have seen that this is the Ferrari F40 1/8 scale model that I received from an eBay sale, and it was very badly packed and it received a lot of damage during transport. Now in today's part 2 we're actually going to start to disassemble this model. There's a lot of things on it that are loose already. The hood's completely broken off, and I have a collection of parts here that were loose in the packing of the model, so some of the disassembly has already been done for me. But yeah, today we're going to tackle breaking this model down. Now one thing that is going to assist in the rebuild of this model is that I was able to download and print out the instruction manual, the original instruction manual from the kit. So that's the good thing about Google, that a lot of people put these sort of things online and you can use them if you are missing one. So that is going to help in the reassembly of this model. Of course this one is going to be completely customized like all my other Poker 1/8 scale models, and I'll be using another plastic storage case to sort out all these screws and bits and pieces from this model as I pull it apart. So I just want to mention that this is not going to be a quick build. I have bought a lot of parts and some super detailed kits, so being that the Ferrari F40 is my favorite car, this project is going to be spaced out over many months. So just make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming episodes. But yep, today we're going to start pulling this model apart, and then we'll be able to actually see how many parts are damaged and broken, and then we will keep moving forward onto the series. So let's get into it and start pulling this model apart. Okay, so that is the front hood assembly disassembled. pretty basic in the way that goes together. There's not too many things broken on this part. I forgot to remove those little side markers. Lucky I found those now. Yeah, other than the front spoiler here had a big dent in it, as you can see here from the shipping, so I'm going to have to panel beat that little part out. Now the front splitter was actually broken, and I knew that right from the start. You could see that that's all that was left of that piece there. Pretty much everything else came apart. Luckily so far not a lot of things are glued together, so all the lenses could be pulled out, and I will be able to strip all the paint off all these pieces because I will be completely repainting the model, and I'm replacing grills and things like that with photo etch metal pieces. So yeah, pretty straightforward. The front hood assembly, again, luckily all the light panels and everything came out. I'll be able to give these all a polish up. They're not cracked or anything, so they look like they're in pretty good condition. So we'll just keep moving forward now onto the main body of the car and keep getting it stripped. Okay, so that is all the main part of the body disassembled. Everything looks good here. There's no real damage or dents, just all the scratches in the paintwork from shipping, but I've stripped everything out of that. Now, one of the issues that we did have with this model was the doors were pretty much hanging off. Now, one of the hinges just completely fell out when the body of the model was being flipped over, and the other one was quite loose as well. So I think it's just all basically loose screws into the model. Luckily so far it looks like nothing has been glued together on this model, so that is going to make it a lot easier to pull the rest of the model apart. That was one thing I was fearing, is that the model was all glued together, which would have been a big problem. So as you can see there, everything is coming off nicely, and yeah, a couple of screws there, and that panel will come out as well. So so far so good. I think the issue with the door hinges will probably be able to be resolved. There's a lot of loose screws in here, so I may have to just upgrade some of the screws, but everything else at this stage seems like it is okay. Obviously I'm pulling all the black striping off because this model will be completely painted, as well as all the black striping, but yeah, I think we'll just keep moving forward, finish disassembling the doors, and then I will tackle stripping this rear section of the body, and then I'll give you guys another update. Okay, so that is all the doors disassembled. Again, I'd like to say that because all these parts, nothing was glued together, that is making this very easy. Now the rear panel, this ugly molded plastic piece is going to be completely replaced, so I'm not worried about keeping the fog lights or whatever they are in there, so that will be going into the bin. And the rear clamshell looks alright, doesn't seem to be any damage on this either. The pins are still there. But one thing that I think is a bit disappointing is the fact that none of these vents are open. So these side vents in the rear clam and these reverse vents here are not open as well. They're all sealed. So one thing I'm definitely going to do when I rebuild this model is I'm going to use the Dremel, and I'm actually going to open all of these vents up, and as mentioned before, I will be replacing all the mesh on this model with photo etched finer detailed mesh. So that is all of the body disassembled. So now I will move on to the chassis and the engine and get that all pulled apart. But so far there's definitely not as many pieces in this model kit as say the Poca Huracans or the Poca Aventador, but in saying that, this model is over 20 years old, so a lot of things have changed over that time, but I'm pretty happy so far with how this is coming apart. Not too many damaged pieces at this stage, so yeah, we'll keep moving forward onto the chassis. Okay, so that's all the interior tub out. It's going to take a little bit of cleaning up to get all this old adhesive off this felt. The plans are that I am going to apply carbon fibre decal to the whole interior of the model, and I'll be adding some flocking powder to where the carpet was. The seats basically just falling apart. Good for me that nothing is glued together, but yeah, the model was never going to survive in this state for too long. So all the seat belts will be replaced with racing harnesses, so not too worried about keeping any of those at this stage. And I think I'll probably do some flocking powder onto the seats as well to make them look like a red Alcantara. And same again with the backs of the seats. I will be applying carbon fibre decal to a lot of this model. So yeah, that is basically all the seats and the interior pulled apart. Just got the rest of the chassis in the engine to do now, but pretty happy so far with how this is all coming apart. So we'll just keep moving forward and get this completely disassembled. Okay, so I can't believe it, but that is all of the model broken apart. I'm just leaving the wheels and the hubs together just at this stage so that I can check a couple of things later on. Just seeing what parts I need to pull these wheels apart. And I'm keeping, well, what's left of the engine. The seller actually said this was professionally built, but there's absolutely no glue used on this and it's absolutely falling apart. But I've got big plans for the engine with a super detail kit from Scale Details ordered to really turn this into something spectacular. As I said, this won't be a quick build, this one, because I'm really going to go to town on this one. So everything is going to be repainted, refinished, little bolts, things like that. So that's the engine apart. As I said, keeping the hubs together, fronts and rears at this stage, just so I don't have too many loose parts, and I'll tackle those when I get there. I don't think the wheels are actually too bad on this model. I have seen the metal wheel replacements that you can get, but we'll see what happens with these when I pull them apart. I may repaint the center part, but the chrome looks all right and the tires look pretty good on this model. Now the rear subframe, that is all in good condition. There's nothing broken off that. Just one of the radiators was glued in. That's the only bit of glue I found on this whole model so far, which is just amazing. Surprised. but the front section of the floor, I did know that that was damaged because one of the pins that holds the front hood on was snapped off in transport. So I was able to actually order a new floor, so that is on its way. But yeah, that is most of the model in pieces. Now I do have all these bits and pieces in here that were just loose in the box. So I've got exhaust system, front radiator, side mirrors, what's left of the front splitter, that's going in the rubbish bin, and a turbocharger. There's a few bits and pieces in there that I will sort out and put those in the appropriate storage. But one thing is the suspension. These Poca Ferrari F40s sit too low. So I've managed to actually order some upgraded springs to the correct height. And also I assume that these shock absorbers would have been all glued together because that's what they recommend in the instruction booklet, but turns out they weren't. But I ordered some new plastic shock absorbers anyway, so I'll leave these together for now. Apart from the springs on there, we can get rid of those. But yeah, I will leave all those together for now, and then I will tackle those at a later stage. So that's going to wrap up today's video. So everything, all the important bits and pieces, I've labelled those all and put those in my parts box, and the body and the other bits and pieces are in another box over there. But that is pretty much going to wrap up today's episode. So make sure you stay tuned for part 3. I will get that out shortly, but at least I know now that there's not too much broken with this model. Most of the culprits with all the parts like doors and things like that were pretty much just loose screws. There were some missing screws as well, so I think we're on a pretty good even keel with this one, not too much broken. But I have ordered a lot of new parts and a lot of super detail parts, so make sure you stay subscribed so you don't miss the next episode. But that's going to wrap up episode 2 of Saving a Ferrari F40, a sad eBay story. If you're new to the channel, why not subscribe? Don't forget to smash that like button if you like the video, and stay tuned for the next one. But until next time, thanks for watching Rob's Model Cars.